Hello and welcome to my channel. Rhino here. Today we're going to finish up with Shock of God and his absolutely atrocious arguments against atheism. Let's go.
You'll hear the myth from Muslims and atheists that, it took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years for the proclamation of Jesus' resurrection to happen, like the game of telephone where, I remember when you were kids, you'd get in a big circle, about 20 of you, and you'd say, the dog is white, and by the time you got to the end of the circle, it was like, I want a pizza, or something. That's not really a good objection to the proclamation that Jesus rose from the dead, because immediately, I can't snap, well, I'm snapping with the gloves, but just immediately they were proclaiming that Jesus Christ resurrected. Right there in the New Testament, it's documented during the feast that they were announcing this at the very feast, which happened after Jesus Christ died and resurrected.
Yeah, but those documents weren't written down for a minimum of 30 years after the events. So that's 30 years of the telephone game to add all sorts of nonsense.
E is for the voluntary suffering.
You skipped I. I know it was probably going to suck, so I'm not mad. I just wanted to point that out.
I find it very powerful that every single one of the disciples, when the sword was at their neck, or when they were being challenged to deny that they saw Jesus Christ, none of them did it. If I knew it was a lie, and I'm sorry, I just would not die for something I knew was a lie. Now,
who said they knew it was a lie? I'm sure the apostles were convinced that they were telling the truth. I mean, I'm sure the people who killed themselves in Jonestown were convinced that Jim Jones was telling the truth, but the fact that they thought it was true does not automatically make it true.
One of the objections people will give to that is, okay, so the disciples all died for, Jesus Christ. They're admitting they saw Jesus Christ. Well, what about the 9/11 hijackers? You'll hear that. Well, if you put the 9/11 hijackers on a lie detector test and ask them, do you really believe that you're going to inherit these virgins and Allah's on your side? I'm sure they would pass the lie detector test.
And there you go. People willing to die for a cause that they believe to be true, but you believe to be false. Different example, but still a good point.
They really did believe that. So we have to ask, okay, why do the 9/11 hijackers really believe this? And if we asked them this, they would say it's really because of what they were taught. They never saw Muhammad. They never witnessed any of this. They never had first-hand account of Jesus Christ or Muhammad, for that matter. But the disciples had first-hand account. They didn't have to trust anybody.
You do realize that the authors of the Gospels were not the actual disciples, right? That is agreed even by biblical scholars who are Christian. So the people who wrote the stories about the guys being willing to die for the cause were not the actual guys dying for the cause.
They didn't have to go by what someone said like the game of telephone. They walked with Jesus Christ. They walked with Jesus Christ. They talked with Jesus Christ. They had first-hand knowledge of Jesus Christ. And so when they see Jesus Christ resurrected again, it would make sense that this voluntary suffering happened because they saw something that they really believed was Jesus Christ. So much so that even the enemies of Jesus Christ, like Saul, who was murdering Christians, actually said that he saw Jesus Christ also. So no one doubts that something happened, that they saw something. Now, when you couple that with the appearances, the low status of women, the immediate proclamation.
Oh, immediate proclamation was I? You spend so much time repeating yourself that when you glossed over that one, I completely missed that it was the I part of your little acronym there.
And now you have the voluntary suffering. You've got some good proof and evidence. And if you're not a bigot towards God, if you're not prejudiced towards God, or some bigot where you just got your mind made up that you're not going to look at the facts of Jesus Christ, if you're not a bigot, you would admit that, yeah, of course, if God exists and Jesus Christ really is a historical person, and this is why the atheists don't want you to believe that Jesus is a historical person, even though it's already been proven that he is.
Holy shit, man. Stay on topic.
Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target.
You started that ramble with the statement, if you believe that God exists. Well, you can stop it right there because you haven't given me a reason to believe that he exists.
Well, then you're going to go where the evidence is.
Which is that Christianity is not true.
Is that Jesus rose from the dead, but then we have another problem. The fifth nail in the atheist coffin. The empty tomb.
Oh, this is going to be good. An empty grave in a story written at least 30 years after the events supposedly took place. That's definitely going to convince everyone. It's not like it's possible for a tomb to be empty for any reason other than supernatural ones, right?
Everyone agrees that there was an empty tomb, that Jesus' body was empty. The tomb was empty, I should say, that Jesus' body was not there at the empty tomb. This just really, if you're not a bigot and you really look at the evidence...
If you really look at the evidence, you see a story composed decades after its events, and even if the tomb was actually empty, the Bible itself shows how much hatred there was of Jesus. So who's to say that someone didn't steal the body as one last insult to his cult followers, and that they, in their distress, had hallucinations of their master back from the dead? Wouldn't be the first shared group hallucination. That's much more plausible than your imaginary friend working magic.
Let's go down the middle here. What do you say? Okay.
Holy shit, you're one of those assholes. I don't know why that surprises me. It really shouldn't at this point.
Unless, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus came out of that tomb. I believe it.
It's nice that you can accept subpar word-of-mouth rumors as enough evidence to believe in your mystical friend who is all-loving but tortures people for eternity, but that's not good enough for me.
If you're bigoted, if you're a bigot and you're against Jesus Christ and you hate God, now, of course, your bigotry is going to get in the way and you're not going to be able to go where the evidence is.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I was a Christian. I was very devout. I resisted the pull of my rationality for years in order to stay a Christian, but eventually reason won out. I was bigoted against atheism, but atheism won anyways because it makes more sense in the end.
But if you don't fight the evidence, don't kick against the pricks.
Well, don't be such a prick and maybe I'll stop kicking against you.
People love that. They love the teachings of Jesus Christ. Who are you to judge? Jesus never said that.
Not in those exact words, but he did say something very similar. Read your own damn book, jackass!
They love that. It's interesting, if you go to my website at shockofgod.net at the top of this video, we have some street preachers at universities. And the street preachers are preaching to the gays, they're preaching to the atheist, basically the same thing.
Oh, snap! What a sick burn! I'll need to go get me some aloe for that bad boy right there. Now let's see if I can come up with an equally witty comeback. Oh, I got it! That did make me feel bad. For you!
they're preaching to the lesbians and the Muslims, the Buddhists, etc. And it's interesting that even with the hostility of the gays and the atheists and the Muslims and all that,
Remember back at the beginning of your video when you said it's impossible to find an atheist in real life?
it's hard to find atheists in real life. It really is. You can't find them. They're all on YouTube.
How are street preachers preaching to atheists if they can't find them?
You don't see people talk bad about Jesus Christ. I mean, here on YouTube you do. But it's interesting, you don't see them speak out against the teachings of Jesus Christ.
I will. And I have. Not just on YouTube, also in real life. How about when he tells you that you can't follow him unless you hate your whole family? Or how about the fact that this loving, meek, and mild, gentle man was the very guy who introduced the concept of eternal torture in the first place? Or his wonderful advice to not prepare for the future because God will take care of you as he takes care of the birds. They don't have to plant crops, so neither should you. Or how about when he said that he did not come to grant peace but division? And even as his good teachings go, they were at best already being taught by other religions, so he was by no means original there.
I find that it's like a fascinating phenomenon that people have this respect and shock and awe of Jesus Christ. But every year, we got to hear it again, the war on Christmas.
I'm a fairly militant atheist, but I'll still wish you a Merry Christmas. I have a Muslim friend who also wishes people Merry Christmas. And I have no problem with all the pagan traditions we observe at Christmas nowadays, like bringing a tree into your house, burning the Yule log, giving gifts, having a solstice feast. It's all a lot of fun.
You've heard the argument, I call it an argument, it's not a fight, but it's like a philosophical argument, if you will, that you cannot say that Jesus Christ is just a good and wise teacher. You must absolutely say that he was crazy, a madman, a liar, a lunatic, or both madman, liar, lunatic, or you have to admit that he's God.
Or, alternately, you could believe that the character of Jesus as represented in the Bible is not an accurate representation of the man that he is based on.
The reason why is Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. I am the bread that came down from heaven. If you believe in me, you're going to live forever. He said things, his kingdom is not of this world. I and the Father are one. He said things which obviously he's admitting that he's God. So if you go by what Jesus Christ said, and he's telling the truth, then you must say that he is God.
And if you go by what Dumbledore said, Harry Potter is the chosen one. But we haven't actually established that J.K. Rowling's representation of Harry Potter is an accurate representation of a real person, so it doesn't matter.
Because of the things that he did and the things that he claimed, you must say that either he is God or he's a liar, lunatic, or both. A liar, lunatic. But you can't say he's just a good and wise teacher.
Okay, if you're gonna make me choose anyways, he was a fucking liar and a lunatic.
I'm gonna go with he was God. Now, if you guys would do me a favor, click share below this video and send this to your sweet, cuddly, huggable, wonderful atheist friends and challenge them to answer this question. What proof and evidence can you provide as an atheist that would prove that atheism is accurate and correct?
So we're back to this, are we? Okay, one more time, then I'm out. The burden of proof is on you. If I claim that I have an invisible, intangible rodent of unusual size living in my garage, and that if you don't believe me, it's going to torture you for all eternity after you die, would you accept the statement that you need to provide proof that your atheism towards my ROUS is accurate and correct?
Wesley, what about the ROUSs?
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
Or would you perhaps like me to prove to you that I actually do have a ROUS in my garage? Also, the way you ride your motorcycle is what gives other bikers a bad name, jackass.